So now let's take a look at another way that we can use Azure Cloud Shell. So inside of docs on Microsoft.com, we have the Try It button. So what the Try It button allows us to do is it allows us to be able to try the code that we're seeing in docs on Microsoft.com and run it in Azure Cloud Shell. So when I click Try It, it's going to go through the process for signing in. So I choose my Azure account, and so it's going to make a connection into an Azure Cloud Shell instance that now I can take the commands that I'm seeing in docs and run those over in my Cloud Shell. So this is a great way to be able to run through different code. So I'm going to simply copy get-date here. I'm going to paste it in. The only reason I'm not copying everything is because it would actually copy everything, and this documentation actually has the output as well. So you'd end up getting an error. So we see we're able to run that code. Now I can also freelance code as well. So I simply typed in get-azvm. So this allows me to work with whatever is in my Cloud Shell subscription. So really a cool way to use Azure Cloud Shell while you're learning how to use the different commands that you're seeing inside of docs. Now, another way that we can use it is through Microsoft Learn. So I'm in a Learn module here. I'm going in and I'm taking a look at an exercise on creating and saving scripts in Azure Powershell. So what I did is I activated a sandbox. So Microsoft's built sandboxes that you can use inside of Learn. And notice the sandbox is active for 59 minutes. And this sandbox creates a virtual environment in the background. You don't have to have a subscription for this. So this is subscription free, no credit card, no what have you. You only have to be logged in with a Microsoft account into Learn. And then it creates this sandboxed environment for you. And then what you can do is you can simply go through all of these exercises. I can copy the code from over here. I can paste that code into my Azure Cloud Shell, and it runs through those. So it gives me a way to run through exercises that are in Learn and to be able to practice that code. So this is another great way for you to use Azure Cloud Shell as you're learning how to work with resources in Azure. I can also type in, notice we do a directory listing. I can do a get-azvm as well. And those are running against this subscription. It doesn't have any virtual machines, so it's not going to show anything in here. If I do a get-azure resource group, it'll show me the resource group that's currently being used for this subscription. So as you can see, you can do the code that's listed in the Learn module, and you can also add your own code in as well. And the last thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at how we can access Azure Cloud Shell through the Microsoft Azure app for iOS and Android. So we click the Cloud Shell icon within the app, and notice it brings up our Powershell Cloud Shell environment. If you want to, you can use Bash as well. You could switch over to that. We can put in a directory listing. So if we want to see all of the subscriptions we have available, there we go. If we want to see all of the virtual machines, we can use our PowerShell commandlets for that as well. I put in get-azvm. I'm going to put that into a format table to give me a nice table listing of that. Once that runs, we'll see all of the VMs that are available in my subscription. Now let's say we want to go over and see our cloud drive. We can change directory. We can go to our home directory. Once we're over there, we do a directory listing, and we'll see that we have all of the same files that we had available when we worked in Azure Cloud Shell. So another great way to work with Azure Cloud Shell and manage your Azure resources. And that about covers it for our session today on Azure Cloud Shell to access resources and work with resources in Microsoft Azure. So we covered how to set up Azure Cloud Shell to access a resource and do the initial configuration. Along with that, we showed you how to search for tools within the console, both PowerShell and also the built-in commands. We showed you the integration with Visual Studio Code and how we can use that with Azure Cloud Shell. showed you how to do remote management for your Azure VMs, and we also walked you through how to deploy resources from source control in Azure. And then we finished up showing you different places to use Azure Cloud Shell, like docs.microsoft.com and the Microsoft Azure app. So for resources for this session, you can check out the Azure Cloud Shell docs through the link that I have here. Along with that, I created a GitHub repository that'll have a link to all demo videos with a talk track and all the demo code and instructions. You can get it from this link here. If you have any questions or comments about this session, you can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm at Michael Bender. I will also post a link for both of these out there in case you didn't get time to write them down during this session. So with that, I want to thank you for coming out today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Azure Online Global Bootcamp 2019.